Hey there, welcome back to my channel if you're returning, or welcome if you're new. So I'm going to do something a little bit different this time around. I'm going to be ranking the top exercises that are best for inverted triangles to balance their body shape. And we've got tiers S all the way to F to differentiate which ones would be best for you and then which ones you probably shouldn't bother with. Okay. So getting into the tiers, S means that it is phenomenal. It is something that you want to use and you shouldn't skip out on it or try in some way to work it into your routine. A is just as good, and it is a super effective exercise that may not hit every part of the glutes like the S tier does, but nevertheless, it's still a very good addition for some variety. And then we have the B tier, which is still pretty solid, but it might lack some of the isolation that S tier may have, and some of the intensity needed to really maximize your glute growth. So now the C tier is the so-so tier. So this tier is okay, and they won't give you as much bang for your buck, but again, good for some variety in your training. Going into the D tier, those are also exercises that might feel like they're working your glutes, but they aren't the most effective. And this is especially true for inverted triangle body shapes. And then F tier, just avoid them. Not even avoid them, but just realize that they're not gonna do what you think they're gonna do. All of these exercises that I'm about to introduce can play a role in a specific journey, but just not this one. All right, so we've got the exercises here, and I'm gonna start just, in order. So starting with hip thrusts. Hip thrusts are a superior exercise, and there's not many exercises that you can find that will solely work the glutes the way that hip thrusts can work them. Because this exercise is the creme de la creme, that means it's gonna go all the way into the S tier for sure. Get some hip thrusts into your routine if you haven't gotten them already in. Next, we got fire hydrants. So fire hydrants in and themselves are very good for mobility. They are also good for waking up your glutes or maybe a recovery day or things like that. But when it comes to growing your glutes, fire hydrants are just not it. This exercise won't provide enough of a challenge for you to be able to see some results from it. Now, if you were to do weighted fire hydrants, that's a different story, but we're talking just standard fire hydrants here, not even banded or anything like that. So because it's good for activation and mobility and things like that, I think this should go in the C tier. I think that's fair for it. But if you're looking to get a fat ass off of fire hydrants or to really define your body shape, no. Cable kickbacks. So when done correctly, cable kickbacks can be super effective. And there is a time and place for cable kickbacks as well. And depending if you do them controlled and focused, or if you're just swinging it, going through the motions, or if you are actively putting progressive overload into this movement, I really think cable kickbacks is really up there, because when done properly, you can feel the contraction. Like if you were to put your finger there on your glute medius, on the upper part of your glutes, which contributes to that wider hip look, you can feel it working as you bring your leg out nice and controlled and slow, making sure that you have that foot at that angle, at that 45-degree angle when you're at the peak point, and holding it just a beat, 1 to 2 seconds at the top. Chef's kiss. You can't tell me that this isn't gonna work. All right, let's go with walking lunges. Now, I love me some walking lunges, and they really fire my legs up. I will say when it comes to walking lunges, exercise selection and organization plays a role in whether this exercise is going to be effective or not. If you have proper upper glute activation, then walking lunges can put the fire in your upper glute in the way that you need it. However, if you don't have proper activation inside your glute medius, glute minimus, and you try to do walking lunges, and even the way that your body is oriented too, if you're too upright, if you're too forward, if your stance is going off to the side too much, like all of those things play into the effectiveness of walking lunges. That being said, it's not a terrible exercise. It is great, but again, it depends on how you activate your glutes prior to doing this exercise, and even the amount of exercises and what exercises that you do prior to walking lunges. It's a very good overall leg burn. It will get your quads, and if you're looking for something that has like a bang for buck exercise, then walking lunges will be that for you. I'm thinking so hard about this. I'm gonna say B tier, because it is pretty solid, but it's not like a remarkable exercise for growing your side glutes. But in terms of exercise diversity and variety, chef's kiss. All right, now we're going into reverse lunges, and whoopee. I think it takes what walking lunges should be and does it better. Mostly because that backwards motion, you trying to stabilize your body as you're stepping backwards, that starts to activate some more of your upper glute and your side glute, things like that, versus when you're doing walking lunges when you have a bit more of your quads. So just off that alone, just the fact that there's different mechanics to it that activates what you want a little bit more. Reverse lunges, I think, should go in like should go into the like A tier, because that's like chef's kiss. Okay, curtsy lunges. I'm not hearing much about it. Why aren't the girlies talking about it? Curtsy lunges, they can be pretty effective. They can also hammer your side glutes too, but all in all, like, I love them. The difference between curtsy lunges and like regular lunges is the amount of recruitment of your stabilizers. So you start to need a little bit more help from your side glute muscles and your side leg muscles, because you're giving that side of your leg a little bit more of a stretch when you do it curtsy style versus just head on. And anything that has a little bit more stretch to it is being worked a little bit more. So this is especially helpful for people that need that mind to muscle connection, and they're really trying to emphasize that. Give your body a little rotation, give it a little curtsy, and then you're gonna be able to feel exactly what you need to feel in those side leg muscles. So curtsy lunges, definitely an A. Ooh, do I say A? Yeah, I say A, because there's still some recruitment of the quads that's involved in there, and it's not solely just for side glute growth, so it's fair enough to be an A. Okay, and I'm just randomly grabbing here, weighted clamshells. This is so slept on, and I made the mistake in the past of doing clamshells but not giving myself enough resistance for it. So I thought it was a waste of time. But when you apply the proper understanding of progressive overload to an exercise like weighted like clamshells, the results are definitely noticeable. And then it helps us start to fill out those sort of like, I'm not gonna say it's gonna fill hip dips, but like it's definitely gonna help put in the illusion that there is a little bit more there than what actually is there. I can guarantee you, if you even just start with banded clamshells and then even like moving on to a lightweight clamshell so that you can actually get that full range of motion you need, pretty good. Like you can start out with 5 pounds, 10 pounds. Like you can easily find those types of weights in any gym, like an apartment gym that has dumbbells, a hotel gym, regular Planet Fitness gym. You know, like you don't need anything fancy for such an effective exercise. Now, if you are planning out your whole leg day or exercise routine for growing your side glutes, definitely work in clamshells and weighted clamshells because of how versatile it is. You can do it at home, you can do it at gym. It's something super, super effective that you can rely on probably almost as much as a hip thrust. On that note, weighted clamshells, definitely going in the S tier. Do not skip. Flat incline walking. Okay. Cardio in general is not going to grow your glutes. Cardio plays a role in assisting with recovery and blood flow to support muscle growth, but it is not the direct reason for your muscle growth. So something like flat incline walking, very good for the blood flow. After a good side glute day and you do some flat incline walking for a bit, it helps loosen you up, but it pales in comparison to other forms of cardio too. When it comes to cardio that is good for your glutes, flat incline walking is not even on that list. On that note though, flat incline walking, if you're trying to get your steps in, yeah, then that's like S tier. You can get a walking pad. That's a flat incline walk right there. You can walk outside. That's flat incline walking. But yeah, anything beyond that, like for glute growth, no. So we're going to put this F tier, specifically when we're talking about exercises for growing your glutes, not necessarily supporting it for recovery. So we got this here in the F tier. All right, next we got split squats, and split squats are decent. They challenge the hell out your quads, I will tell you. But again, when it comes to the orientation of your body, whether it's a little bit too upright or if it's a little more forward, you're gonna feel some more of your glutes versus your quads, because you then are putting the stretch in your glute and then you're putting some slack in your quads. And any place that doesn't have tension, any place that doesn't have slack, you're gonna use it a little less. Any place that has more of a stretch, you're gonna feel that a bit more and you're gonna work that a little bit more. So with that being said, split squats, I think if they were in a deficit, now we're talking, but just standard split squats, I think there's more effective exercises that you can do that will get your side glutes and balance out that inverted triangle body shape above split squats. So not to knock it, it's a very good exercise overall for the leg building, just overall building bigger legs, because when it comes to having an inverted triangle body shape, what do you need to do? Grow your bottom half. So it's not just the glutes, you can grow your quads too, and then have that full leg effect. But if you're trying to grow your side glutes, have that wideness. Split squats don't directly do that, period. Now, I don't want to put this one too low because it does contribute to glute growth. It's just when it comes to side glute growth, there's levels to this, okay? Like so many levels to it, I'll say B. Romanian deadlifts, chef's kiss. This exercise is so good because it is a very versatile exercise, first of all. You can do this with almost anything, anywhere. You can do it with cables, you can do it with a barbell, you could do it with a dumbbell, you could do it with some plates, you could do it at home, you could do it at the gym, you could do it in pretty much any gym that you are in that has weights, something you can lift. You could even do it at home with a case of water. Just pick up the water and you're doing an RDL. Because of the versatility of that and because of the mechanics of it, how it requires you to use less of your hamstrings and a little bit more of your glutes to be able to complete the movement, glute biased. And that hinge movement also really contributes to your upper glutes. Your upper glutes, of course, in addition to your glute max, but like your glute medius and your glute minimus are working a little extra harder to bring your body up without using so much of your back or your knees. So with that in mind, Romanian deadlifts are definitely up there, like S tier. You should be having RDLs somewhere in your program, point blank period. On that note too, good mornings use a little bit more hamstring. So to complete a good morning movement, it's the weight's behind you instead of in front of you, and you're doing more of a stiff-legged movement rather than like the slight bend that you would have to do for an RDL. So because of the included hamstring recruitment, it's a little less emphasis on your upper glutes and, dare I say, a little bit more distracting to the glutes being worked versus the hamstrings being moved or being worked. With that in mind, I think I'd actually drop that to a C. Yeah, I'm gonna put that at a C. Because it's decent, but it's not like the most stellar thing. Like we have RDLs, right? So, in comparison, good mornings are not going to be the most effective. All right, now we're at standard squats. And when it comes to just regular standard squats, this is the holy grail for people that want to work on their quads. It does require some glute recruitment as well. And again, depending on how your torso is positioned, you'll recruit a little bit more glute or a little less glute, depending on the amount of weight you use too, whether it is weighted or if it's banded or not. Then, you got some variety going on there. Now, I will say banded squats, that starts to move it up on the tier list, but body weight significantly shoots it down. Now, we're talking about just standard squats here. So standard weighted squats, barbell on back, you go down, ass to grass, up. And that in itself, decent, but not ideal for this very specific goal of balancing your body shape, like, wideness wise. So we're gonna put that in C tier. Banded abductions. Yes, just yes. This works the glute medius and minimus so much more than many of the other exercises mentioned in this entire video so far. And when it comes to this exercise too, you could do it seated, you could do it standing, doesn't matter. It will get your upper glutes. And because it is banded, you start to bring in some principles of hypertrophy through progressive overload, and it's direct tension on your stabilizers. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring this up here to S tier. Weighted step ups. Ooh, let me tell you something about weighted step ups. They're so good. They are so good, okay? And depending on where you put them in your routine, so good. And you can do them a couple of ways too. I've seen the most popular way to do them would be using a Smith machine and a bench, and that gives you a lot of stability and control. The way that I do them, I use a cable. And that requires a little bit of mechanical understanding, the way that the weight pulls you down. You're essentially forced to lean to the side, but that's a good thing because then you're gonna shift some more of the weight on your stabilizers on that side of your body. And therefore, as you're pressing into the ground with your heel to get yourself up, all of that is just starting to fire, and it is so, so good. And I put weighted step-ups towards the end of my routine. After I do it towards the end, but after clamshells. Chef's kiss, try it out. I'm gonna put it all the way up there, all the way up there. Bodyweight exercises. That ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna do it. Now, as a beginner, this is very good for you to understand mind to muscle connection and to just get a footing and a starting to movement patterns, form, things like that. But this is not gonna grow you. You're gonna plateau, and you're gonna plateau real quick too. So, with that in mind, bodyweight anything, bodyweight squats, bodyweight abductions, if that's even a thing, bodyweight walking lunges, just bodyweight anything. That's not gonna do it. Jump squats. Okay, I have a hate-love relationship with jump squats. I was a jump squat girly, but I did them banded though. I didn't just do jump squats willy-nilly. And I used jump squats to prepare me for the abduction machine. So it was basically a superset that I was doing. I would do 10 banded jump squats and then hop onto the abduction machine, and wow, that definitely worked my upper glutes really well. I could feel it in my hips the next day too. But jump squats in themselves, they don't do much for hypertrophy. You need resistance for hypertrophy. So hence why I say I would add the band, because then that would add the resistance, and then that would then tell my muscles, hey, I need to adapt and grow bigger and stronger. But just willy-nilly, no resistance, no weight, no nothing, like that's just a cardio exercise at that point, which if you're doing it for cardio, then by all means, but definitely not for growing your glutes. I'm gonna put these in D, and mainly because if you put a band, then it's doing something, but it's still pretty low in effectiveness. Standard deadlifts. So just regular deadlifts. I personally do not do standard deadlifts in my routines, mostly because I would prefer to do RDLs over standard deadlifts. Not to say that standard deadlifts don't challenge your stabilizers in some way, They do, but then you have to think that standard deadlifts kind of recruit other parts of your body too, because now you're working with upper body and back and things like that. And those are a few other things to consider when the goal is to grow your side glutes and transform your shape and things like that, and really work the upper glute. Just in of itself, the fact that there's more hamstring recruitment actually when it comes to standard deadlifts. So yeah, it's pretty much putting it in the same place as a good morning, where that slight bend to your knee that you need is what gives the emphasis to your glutes versus, like hammies, because anything that has more of a stretch, remember, you'll have more work done on that muscle. So standard deadlifts, they sort of do it, but they sort of don't. Like, why do it when you could just do an RDL? Like, I don't know. I'm putting it at D, which is probably pretty harsh, but leg curls, off rip, they're definitely going in D. But leg curls are going to be a helpful component in your glute growth journey because it will help you not have knee pain when you're doing single leg movements. When it comes to knee pain, in my personal experience, what I've noticed, the pain comes from, proven fact, imbalances can cause pain in your body. Flat out. So in my case, now this comes to my personal case, I would be hammering the sides of my legs, the outer sides, the inner thighs, the top, the quads, but then my hamstrings were getting no love and they were weak in comparison to my quads and my side glutes and things like that. So just adding leg curls once a week during an accessory day has already transformed my knees, and I can do things like walking lunges, split squats, all of that without knee pain anymore. I used to have knee pain, but I don't have anymore. So I owe that to curls. So I'm sorry to put this leg curls in the D category, but in the specific case of what's going to grow your side glutes the most and what's going to transform your inverted triangle body shape, it's not curls, but curls are still super important. Bulgarian split squats. Oh, no. You're going all the way to S tier. And when you do them correctly, they are S tier. It is because, for one, it's a unilateral exercise, right? So now, because it's unilateral, you're challenging your stabilizers. What are your stabilizers? Your glute medius and your glute minimus. That's your side glutes. You're off to a great start. 2, the way that your body is angled, a little more forward, a little more backward, you will recruit more glutes than quads, and you will feel it so good in your glutes, okay? You got that going on. This exercise also helps with imbalances in your glutes as well because you're individually challenging your glutes. So instead of something like, like a banded squat or something like that, where you might be able to lean on one side a little bit more than the other, Bulgarian split squats are going to expose you, okay? They're going to make it very obvious what side is weaker than what. And on top of that, it hurts. So it must work. I just know that every time I do Bulgarian split squats, I am sore in my glutes the next day. And again, when the proper mechanics are done, I don't feel it in my quads nearly as much as I'm feeling it in my glutes. And also going back to exercise selection too, depending on what activation you do prior to doing a Bulgarian split squat, the emphasis will be on your upper glute. All right, last exercise, we got the standard leg press. The standard version of a leg press isn't anything too fancy for growth. It's more like an overall leg growth exercise. Definitely gets a lot more of your quads. Does it also get some glutes? Yeah, it can. However, when you start to do some tweaks to it, foot positioning, putting a band on, okay, then it starts to recruit some more of your stabilizers and your glutes. And then that's where it's a bit more effective for glute growth, upper glute growth, side glute growth, things like that. But we're talking standard here, just standard leg press. So in that case, we got to put it in the so-so, the C tier, just because there's a lot of seasonings you can put on it to make it more spicy, Okay, so this is the total tier list thingamabobber. And definitely let me know down in the comments if you like this type of content. This was fun to do. So I definitely could make so many more of these if you feel as though this was helpful and if you feel as though you'd want to see more. So definitely comment down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you. Bye.